Patty Hadju apparently spoke at the UN recently, and one of my followers asked me if I'd seen her speech. I hadn't, so I had them send it to me.
It's guided key milestones from the Accessible Canada Act to our Disability Inclusion Action Plan, our roadmap to a barrier-free Canada by 2040.
Do you ever find yourself thinking, I have no idea if this person is going to do a good job? And you're not sure they're going to do a bad job. It's not like when you listen to Danielle or Doug and you expect that each of them has a staffer whose full-time job is trying to keep them from eating lead paint chips. At the same time, Patty's speech definitely doesn't give confidence if you're worried that maybe this is just a job for her. Like, I have no idea if she's competent or not, but as a disabled person, I also have no idea if she really cares about me. Like, does she want disabled people to get education so that they can get good jobs, so that they can be self-reliant because, human dignity? Or does she not want to see us begging between stoplights at busy intersections? I don't know. I looked into the action plan that the Canadian government has, and it's very general. There's ideas in it like we need a modern understanding of disability, but they don't even list the disabilities that they feel they already understand. And they also don't list any that they're looking into, so I don't even know if she thinks that I'm disabled. So I can be very confident that the government is going to do something, probably, hopefully. I have no idea if they will ever address my disability. And I also think that there are people who make money by them not addressing my disability. Now, I'm actually a bit loath to suggest what I want from the government's disability minister, who's not really the disability minister because that kind of is just her side hustle, I guess. Because disability can mean so many things. It's not just people who can't walk and people who can't talk. Also, yes, I'm fully aware deaf people can often talk and that sign language is a very valid form of communication. Please do not come at me. It's just that the words went together in a fun way. Please don't hate me. I make sure to add subtitles, and I watched Coda on Apple TV Plus. I am an ally. I swear I'm not an especially useful one, but please don't get mad at me, other disabled people. Seriously though, even advocating for people who have the same disability as me can be awkward because I don't want to pull focus away from blind people or people with cerebral palsy or any kind of palsy. But I do want to talk about my disability because unlike a lot of disabilities where even though things are incredibly difficult for people with them today, in years bygone, they would have been much worse. My disability didn't exist in the fairly recent past. It's entirely artificially caused. It's a disability that could be dramatically mitigated for a significant number of Canadians with just a few laws passed and a bit of regulatory enforcement. That's it. What is it? I have multiple chemical sensitivity, a condition that it's estimated affects 1.1 million Canadians. And mine's a little bit more intense than some people's. Doctors use the term sensitivity instead of allergy because it's not caused by a protein or something. I don't know. I'm not an expert. I'm just oppressed, largely by women and insecure teenage boys. Typically, not intentionally, but often due to apathy, if you're wondering. See, while perfumes have existed for a very long time, up until fairly recently, historically, perfumes weren't made with ingredients like formaldehyde. Yeah, the chemical that they put in dead bodies to disrupt natural biological processes? That is in almost every soap, shampoo, conditioner, floor cleaner, paint, lipstick, hand cream, garbage bag, hotel lobby, dish soap, hand sanitizer, laundry detergent, body spray, hairspray, public bathroom, private bathroom. Sometimes I have to pee in a cup by the side of the road by my car and then dump it in a drain because it's safer than using a public bathroom. So yeah, when people act like trans people being excluded from bathrooms shouldn't be a big deal, no, it's a big deal. People should be allowed to piss safely, and that includes me. But I can't. Because in a lot of cases, if I try, I'm going to get a migraine, which isn't just a headache. If I open a bathroom door and then notice the perfume and then immediately bolt towards fresh air, yeah, maybe then I only get a bad headache. But if I spend even 30 seconds in your average public restroom that has an air freshener instead of an air purifier with a filter, I very well might be in significant pain for the rest of the day or even multiple days. For years, there was no relief once I was exposed. Any medication that I tried did not work. I just have to drive home and hope that I didn't sideswipe another car because, when you have a migraine, you probably shouldn't be driving. For years, when I was exposed, I just went home, laid in bed, and prayed for the pain to stop, and it would take generally until I woke up the next morning, assuming that I could fall asleep. Eventually, I found out kind of by accident that a certain type of mushroom from BC, which isn't technically legal, actually wipes out my symptoms pretty quickly. But yeah, technically, it's not even legal for me to treat my disability with one of the most useful accessibility aids I've found. And don't get me wrong, I've got strategies for when I leave my apartment. I have a portable air purifier that I use when I visit restaurants during the off hours. I used to use an N95 mask, but I've got a better solution that I'm not going to talk about because I don't want to dox myself. There's only so much that I can do, and none of it is surefire. And I also can't be high on shrooms all day. But it would be great if the government of Canada did its part. Ideally, like the thing that would remove all barriers for me with most jobs would be if companies weren't allowed to sell perfumes that include common known irritant. And to be clear, you can make perfumes that will not make people with my condition sick. Attitude, the soapy company, makes a laundry soap that weirded me out because I bought it because it said it was hyperallergenic, but then it had a scent, and I was terrified that all my clothes were going to give me migraines, but then they didn't. I still gave it away to a friend because it weirded me out, but like it can be done. And if everything was like that, yeah, I'd eventually get used to smelling stuff and not be so worried. But the government has access to doctors who could give you lists of known chemicals that trigger reactions, and you could outlaw them for use in perfumes and products that use perfumes. You could also get rid of the loophole that allows companies to put whatever they want in a product as long as they put the word perfume or fragrance in the ingredients, so that at least when somebody has a reaction, they can figure out what chemical it was that made them sick. But since truly being effective can be something that politicians find difficult, you could also simply require labels similar to those that are on packs of cigarettes that make it abundantly clear that these products contain chemicals that will make some people sick. Because a lot of people do not understand that every time they buy a hand lotion, they are contributing to my oppression. But just make sure that you don't make it like, oh, it can be a tiny label. Like, make it be a big one that encourages companies to not use it. Because the thing is, I generally don't get to control who comes near me when I leave my apartment. It's not like peanuts where I can just make sure that I don't put things that I don't know what's in them in my mouth. I don't get to choose whether or not people influence the air that I'm breathing. It would be really nice if I didn't get roofied every time I have to stand in an elevator beside a woman who's recently washed her hair. Relative to the cost of building elevators and ramps and paying for hearing aids and wheelchairs, it would be incredibly cheap. Heck, the government might even make some money by having to repeatedly sue Unilever. But this one disability prevents me from applying for so many jobs that I would be able to do no problem. And no, the solution isn't to just ask workplaces to be scent sensitive. Most workplaces already see themselves as scent sensitive, but because most people who do not have this disability will not even register the amount of chemicals that it takes to make me sick. If my boss can smell it, that's not something where they need to have a nice talk with the person. That's the thing where the person is like flat out insulting me in terms of the amount of pain that I am experiencing. So yeah, I am stuck, unable to work in hundreds of jobs that I could do and would be great at because no employer wants to police their employees to ensure that they're not harming the person with the weird condition that nobody understands. Heck, even when I worked for the federal government briefly, I had a supervisor flat out tell me that I was making up my disability. But the federal government could make me and 1.1 million Canadians able to hold down jobs that we previously couldn't with just a little bit of regulation and a little bit of enforcement and a refusal to take bribes from Unilever.